Hello and welcome back to Super Mario Kart, where last time we took on the Special Cup in 100cc, and oh boy was that something. And today, we're going to be starting up 150cc. Is this okay? Not really, but we gotta do it anyway, so let's just get this over with, shall we? So, we're going to be using Toad, because he's the only character we've yet to use in this game. Of course, after this point, I'm probably just going to rely on either Mario, Luigi, or Yoshi for the most part, because unless Toad's amazing, because I want to use some, I don't want to ever touch Bowser or Donkey Kong Jr. ever again for the rest of this LP. We're going to focus on characters we know aren't terrible, so we can hopefully not fail miserably. But the good news is that we don't really need to worry too much about failing today, because everything's already unlocked. Mushroom, Flower, Star, and Special Cups are already completely unlocked. That's all done. So previously the concern was I had to finish first place and win the cups in order to unlock everything later. But now everything's unlocked, so now all we have to do is not rank out. Which I don't want to say isn't going to be that hard, because then I'm going to eat my words. So let's just get started and see what happens. And in the meantime, let's discuss some topics. And the first one, and I want to highlight that I said first, because yes, I do plan on covering more than one topic today. Mainly just because I don't really think this topic's going to last all that long. In fact, I'm probably going to be able to answer it almost immediately. And the question is, do I consider video games to be a hobby? Which I just find to be an interesting question, if only because it seems to have a very obvious answer. Much in the same way that I think that are esports considered to be a sport, I think that also has an obvious answer. If only because, like I said last time, it has sports in the name. But I think the reason why I want to spend more time talking about that is because that's actually a more contentious topic, because there are actually people, some of whom I've met, as we recall, the captain of the track team was pain to deal with, but, oh hey, look, he hit the thing that I hit last time. But that's a bit more of a contentious topic. I've never heard someone ask if video games are considered to be a hobby. But hobbies are defined, well, I'm going to wait to read the definition until I can, actually, we're just going to, don't give up. The definition of hobby is an activity done regularly in one's leisure time for pleasure. And playing video games absolutely constitutes as that, and there's no question about it. It is 100% constitutes as a hobby. I don't think there's any kind of doubt about that whatsoever, so I will not be addressing that any further. I believe that was a pretty, I mean, oh dear God. I don't really even know how I would go more in depth than that if I wanted to, because it seems like a pretty self-explanatory, a self-evident answer, I guess you should say. And can we finish? What? How did I go from? I was in 4th and I went to 6th all of a sudden. Okay, don't know how that happened, but I guess. Okay, well, this is gonna be fun to deal with. This is gonna be very fun to deal with. Oh, good Lord Almighty. I can't wait for this game to be over, let me tell you. I am very excited for the day when I don't have to play this game ever again. I am so much looking forward to that. That's gonna be great. That is gonna be... Why are... They're riding each other's asses the entire time. Can you not be on top of each other for like 1 minute so I can actually not finish in 6th place? No? Is that too much to ask for? Too much to ask for, I guess. Oh, for God's sake, this is not... I cannot wait to be done with this game. You have no idea how happy I'm going to be when I never have to play this game ever. Oh my Jesus Christ. Okay, 3rd place finish. There we go. Go to God, this game controls like ass. This is... I know I should be used to it by now, but there is no getting used to this game. That's not a thing that happens. Okay. Now then. Next up, someone asked me what are some of my favorite books, and I don't think I can list them all. Well, I guess I might be able to try, but I can at least, because I've read a lot of books in my life, but I can at least list some of them. I can list some of the highlights. So first and foremost, there's an author called Stuart Gibbs, who is primarily a young adult author, and I read a lot of his books when I was growing up. So like my middle school specifically, I almost religiously read his books when I was in middle school. I absolutely adored the series he made are Spy School, Fun Jungle, and Moonbase Alpha and The Last Musketeer. The Last Musketeer was really more conceived as a standalone trilogy, whereas the others are more ongoing series. Well, I guess except for Moonbase Alpha. Moonbase Alpha ended in 2018. Yes, Moonbase Alpha ended in 2018. I believe, because Space Case came out September 2014, Spaced Out came out in April of 2016, but I got it in March of 2016 because I got a Barnes & Noble's early edition, which came in the day that I was leaving for the Washington, D.C. trip from middle school. So, you know, there's that, I guess. But, point being, I read a lot of his books in middle school, and I still very much enjoy reading them today. I haven't really been a fan of the new series, the Once Upon a Tim thing or the Charlie Thorne thing. Never been a big fan of that. And even generally speaking, I think he might be starting to run out of ideas for his main series, but you know, he still knows how to make. For God's sake, I hate this game's controls so goddamn much. He still knows how to write in an entertaining way. He still knows how to make stories entertaining, even if the idea barrel might be starting to run dry. Which I guess is kind of fair when he's in like 10 books into a series, so you know, I can't exactly blame him for the bucket of ideas starting to run dry. And good God, the slipperiness of this game cannot be overstated. This is ridiculous. Okay, well, at least we're almost down. We're almost done with this course. So yeah, his Spy School series is great. His Fun Jungle series is great. If I had to rank them, I'd probably go with, I think Spy School would probably be my favorite. Fun Jungle was second. Moonbase Alpha. Moonbase Alpha started out really great with Space Case. The first book in the Moonbase Alpha trilogy was phenomenal. Book 2 was decent. Book 3 was alright as well. But that one definitely peaked with its first outing. Whereas with the Fun Jungle series, I think that those books got better and better as they went along until you got to book 6, and then they didn't get bad. They just, you know, they haven't been as good as they were previously. So yeah, the Sewer Gibbs, if you're looking for, 'cause I guess I should probably explain what they're about. Basically, he writes mystery novels, so if you're interested in sort of adventurous mystery novels, those are definitely something up your alley. Fun Jungle focuses on animal mystery, so for instance, the first book in the series is about a hippopotamus that was murdered, and no one really cares because, well, it's a hippopotamus, so no one really is interested in finding out whether he was killed or not. But a character named Teddy Fitzroy is like, hey, I care about animals. I want to know who killed them. And then they set off on a quest to figure out who it is. And then there's like koala napping. Someone's hunting down rhinos. A panda that was somehow lost in transportation between zoos. You know, things like that. It's set in a zoo called Fun Jungle, and hilarity, adventure, and mystery ensue. Spy School is a series about, well, a spy school. I don't know if you could have guessed that. And basically, the premise is that a 12-year-old kid is recruited to the CIA training facility, but his recruitment may not be all that it seems. And once he overcomes the hurdles of his initial training, then he gets set off on a bunch of missions where he has to figure out what the bad guys are up to, and figure out how to stop them. And there's again, adventure, mystery, and hilarity ensue. And then Moonbase Alpha was one where basically many years, I think it was set in the year 2042. We actually the idea is that there's a small group of humans that are living on the moon, as part of an initial expansion, because they were planning to expand beyond that from Moonbase Alpha. I believe they were building Moonbase Beta. So there was just basically the story of these people living on the moon, but because you're in such an enclosed area and everyone knows each other very, very well, it makes a potential murder mystery extremely interesting because, well, obviously. So yeah, book 1 was great. Kind of went off the rails after that. But yeah, those are the series of. Oh, and I guess the Last Musketeer is a story of a kid who goes back in time accidentally and meets up with the 3 Musketeers, and that's all I'll say about that. Basically, if you want to learn more about them, go to his website. I highly recommend all his books. I had a blast reading them when I was in middle school, and I still enjoy reading them today. So I didn't intend to spend that long talking about one author. Let's move on to a different author. Agatha Christie. She's a she was a genius. There's no two ways about that. She knew what she was doing with writing. She knew how to write phenomenal, well-crafted, well-paced, ingeniously written mysteries. There's no way about it. No two ways about it. She was a genius when it came to writing. And so I guess if I had to pick some of my favorites of hers, the number one to come to mind was Murder on the Orient Express. That was actually the first book of hers that I ever read. Well, actually, that's not true. The first book of hers I ever read was because my 8th grade English teacher made us read it for school. And Then There Were None. And Then There Were None, that was the book that we read for our middle school reading. You know, one of the assigned books you read as a class, and then you talk about it, and you're quizzed on it, and whatever. That was one of the books. and it was so good that it convinced me to check out the rest of her stuff. But side note, after we finished watching the book, I think that was most of the first semester for 8th grade, was reading that book. It started with Anthem, I think. Anthem. There was a trend. Actually, you know, I take it back. I don't think it was most of the. I don't think it was most of the first semester. It was mainly. We read a lot of dystopian material, like a lot of books set in a dystopian future. That was mainly the first semester of my 8th grade year was that, and then for like after we finished all the main course content at the end of the semester, we read it, and then there were none. So that was like November to December. Actually, it was probably mostly December, and then once we got to winter break, we read we didn't read. We watched the movie, and then there were none movie. And I don't think you need me to tell you that it wasn't good, because rarely ever is there a book to movie adaptation that is as good as, let alone better than the book, let alone just decent in its own right. That's a rarity. So, you probably didn't need me to tell you that it wasn't good, but yeah, that's just the story I have to tell there. Beyond that, the first one I read on my own, I guess I should say, like without, the first one that I actually went out to seek to read on my own outside of the class was Murder on the Orient Express, and I loved it. The ABC Murders is another great one, and Five Little Pigs was smart as well. There's a lot, basically most of Agatha Christie's catalog, at least with the Poirot stuff. The Miss Marple stuff was less great, but her Hercule Poirot mysteries were phenomenal, with one or two exceptions here and there, because, you know, no one's perfect, no one writes flawlessly all the time, but for the most part, her books were incredible. Beyond that, the Divergent trilogy, I really love. I really had a soft spot for the Divergent trilogy. I just really came to care about the characters a lot. I was invested in the world building, how it all came to be. I read the first book. Well, I mean, I read faster because most people finish books in the matter of a couple days. I don't really work like that. If I sit down to read something, I'm finishing the book in one sitting. I mean, unless it's something like It from Stephen King, which is like 3,000 pages long, then obviously I really can't. But for your average 300, 400, maximum 500-page book, I'll read it in one sitting, because I don't like leaving things unfinished like that. If I sit down to read a book, I'm intending to finish that book in that sitting. And that's all there is to it. So, it's not really much of me to say that I've finished. I was gonna say I finished in one sitting, but then I'm like, wait, that's just me with every book. So, what praise am I even singing there if I say that? But what I can say is that I read the first Divergent in one sitting, and then I waited a couple days to read Insurgent, because I didn't want to burn myself out on it. And then, after I read Insurgent just non-stop, and then the second after I finished Insurgent, I immediately started reading Allegiant. Which, unfortunately, let me just say, Divergent is incredible, Insurgent is incredible, Allegiant is, questionable. It's got a lot of objective story problems in terms of pacing and writing and consistency and all that. But character-wise, I felt satisfied in reading it that I got a conclusive finale to the series, but it is by far the weakest of the Divergent trilogy, and it would be the one I look forward to rereading the least of all of them. So, now having said that, it's still a million times better than the Divergent movies. Because, remember earlier when I was talking about how book-to-movie adaptations rarely work? Yeah, well, some of the worst of the bunch of the Divergent trilogy movies. Good God, I hate those movies so goddamn much. And you may very well one day get a video on par with how Toy Story 4 Destroyed Everything series talking about the Divergent movies. Because even though I know basically nobody would care about that on the channel, even less than Toy Story 4, I really hate those movies a lot. And I've been wanting to make a video talking about them for a long time. So, you know, maybe one day. I'll talk about that. So yeah, I intended to get to this question in one video, but I guess that didn't work. So I'll try to move things a bit faster next time. Next episode we'll try to finish up talking about what some of my favorite books are. And that'll be that. Okay, so we didn't win, but we finished third, and really that's all we were aiming for was to not rank out. All we were looking for was to not rank out. Because, like I said, all the cups are unlocked now, so we are under no obligation to finish first in any of this stuff now. So, all we gotta do is just not rank out of the race, which I didn't even realize you could do when I first started playing this game. And then we're all set and ready to go. Okay. Alright, so that'll be it for now. So, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next time. I hope to catch you all tomorrow for some more Super Mario Kart. Goodbye.